Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you the best tips and tools to inspire you to create beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I am here with 5 quick and easy Dollar Tree Easter home decor DIYs for you, so let's get crafting. For today's first DIY, we are going to make a bunny wreath using one of the bunny wreath forms, some nautical rope, some metal words from Dollar Tree, as well as some ribbon. Now, I am going to show you how I first started wrapping my nautical rope around the round part of the bunny head. I attached it with some hot glue on one of the cross pieces, and then I just started wrapping it on the front and then around to the back, coming right up next to it. Now, this method is fine, but it will take 3 packs of the nautical rope, and I only had 2, and I could not find any more of this thicker nautical rope that they used to carry. So took that all off, and I'm going to show you, it's a little more complicated, but this method uses less rope. So I'm going to attach it again to the back, and then you can see I'm going to bring it around, and basically what I'm going to do is wrap it around the bottom ring or the inside ring, and then bring it up and wrap it around the top or the outer ring, and then come back in. Okay, so up and around, then in through the outer ring, back in through the inside ring. I think you can see what I'm doing. Basically, it's using less rope because I'm going in the front and then I'm going in the back. Here, I'm pulling it in the bottom there and wrapping it around to the outside. And then I'm coming back in and coming down next to it and wrapping it around the inside ring. So essentially you're kind of braiding it around the outer ring and the inside ring, going up and over the middle ring each time. So here maybe you can see it towards the end. Okay, coming in the bottom, around the top, and then down in the bottom, up at the top, and this is what it's gonna look like on the back. So it kind of looks like a braid. Now this method uses 2 packs of the rope. So if you just think about going around the outer ring and then down and around the inner ring, you're attaching it to those outer and inner rings. Now I end up only using the word Easter, but I did paint it with my MAIZE chalk paint, so it wasn't the shiny silver. Once I had the head wrapped with nautical rope, now I'm just taking my thicker jute twine from Walmart and I'm just wrapping it around each of the ears. Eventually I do get to the point where I just cut a long piece rather than trying to put my big huge spool through the ear each time. But just wrap each of your ears with the jute twine. Then I'm going to make a loopy bow. I'm using some ribbons from Dollar Tree. I'm going to make a big loop and then also a tail out of the turquoise, this plaid one, and then I am going to start by using that third ribbon that has the eggs on it, but I end up taking that out. So here you can see I have a loop of each and then just a straight piece of each of those 3 ribbons. Tying it in the center with a piece of jute twine. We're going to attach all of the pieces together, and then we'll kind of fluff out the loops. This here's the ribbon that I'm going to eventually take out because I didn't like it, but I am not an expert bow maker, but like I said, I'm going to end up taking that egg one out and just using the teal or the turquoise and the plaid. But I do dovetail the 3 tails here, 3 different pairs of tails. And then, like I said, we'll take out that egg ribbon because I just liked the simpler look with the plaid and the turquoise. So then we'll just attach that with some hot glue right there at the top of the head in the center. And then we're going to put our Easter word down at the bottom of our bunny head wreath. And here's how it turned out. I really like this with the neutral bunny and then adding the pop of color with the bow and the Easter metal words. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. If you're one of my returning viewers or subscribers, thank you so much for being here and all your encouragement and comments each and every week. I hope everyone will take a second and tap that bell. Make sure that your notifications are still set to all so that YouTube should let you know each time I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. For DIY number 2, we're going to be using a pizza pan, a wood beaded wreath, and this bunny and some ribbon from Dollar Tree, as well as some scrapbook paper and one of my Magnolia stencils. So I decided that I wanted to use the back side of the pizza pan. It would make it easier to attach the wood beads. But the first thing I'm going to do is take my matte finish Mod Podge. I'm going to put a layer of it on that outer lip or edge of the pizza pan and then a little bit up onto the back of the pan. Again, this is the back side of the pizza pan. I just find that when you first put Mod Podge, it makes it easier for your paint to stick to the metal. So now I'm taking Ballet Slipper by Waverly and basically just painting everywhere that I just put Mod Podge on that outside edge of my pizza pan and then a little bit up onto the back of it as well. Next, I'm going to take this really pretty spring piece of scrapbook paper from a Michaels paper pad. And if you didn't know, these splatter screens are the exact size of the inside of the Dollar Tree pizza pan. So I always keep one on hand now for tracing. I'm just going to trace around this on the back of my scrapbook paper and then cut out my circle. Next, I took a little bit of sand, my little sander, and I'm going to scratch up the back of my pizza pan. And this is going to help our Mod Podge and our scrapbook paper stick a little bit better to it. So I'll take that Mod Podge and go around just the raised back of the pizza pan, and then we'll get our scrapbook paper circle lined up. So go ahead and lay down your circle on the back of the pizza pan, making sure that it's lined up with the edges, and then you're just going to gently rub that to make sure there are no air bubbles. Then once that was dry, I did go back with Mod Podge over our Ballet Slipper chalk paint so that wouldn't scratch off, and then the edges of our scrapbook paper circle, and then finally over the entire back of our scrapbook paper, just so everything is nice, sealed down, and uniform finish. Next, taking the wood beaded wreath from Dollar Tree, I'm going to open it up with some pliers and then bend that other side down so that they stay on. I'm going to attach this wood beaded wreath starting at the top and going around each side. There will be a little bit of space at the bottom, but that's okay. We're going to cover that up with our bunny. So like I said, getting this lined up, and you can see there's a gap of maybe about 6 or 7 inches there at the bottom. So I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to attach my wood beads now to the back of my pizza pan. You can see now why I chose to use the back side of the pan, because it really does help the wood beads stay in place nicely around the raised part of the back. So just put your E6000 every couple inches and then fill in the space there with hot glue. Then take your wood beads and you're going to press that down into the hot glue and the E6000, and that should hold pretty securely. Now coming to our little bunny, it's got like this white kind of wood grain paper on it. I did sand it lightly, and then I am going to put a layer of Mod Podge on it because I am going to be stenciling on this, and I don't want my chalk paste to bleed. So we're going to seal the pores of this paper backing and be able to then stencil on our bunny. Now I'm going to use some wood letters. These are from Dollar General, but they do have them at Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint these 3 letters that spell U with this vintage tea rose matte Folkart paint that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. It's a really pretty dusty pink that matches the scrapbook paper nicely. I just put a little piece of tape there where I'm going to eventually glue down those letters. Now from this Some Bunny Loves You stencil from Magnolia, I'm just going to use my Bear Grass chalk paste to stencil down the words Some Bunny. Then we're going to lift our stencil and place down the word loves. And then, like you've already seen, we're going to do the word you in those wood letters. Next, using some of this green ribbon from Dollar Tree, we're going to make a couple of small bows that we will attach to the top of our bunny's ears, and these will add a level of cuteness, but will also cover up the 2 holes that the hanger was on for this sign. So I'm making 2 loops of my ribbon, and then I'm tying it in the center with some thin jute twine just to make these 2 small bows. Once you have that knot tied and you trim away the excess of the jute twine, then you can fluff out the bows and glue those down. Now, because the bottom part of our bunny will be up on those wood beads, I did need to put a couple of tumbling tower blocks behind the ears so that our bunny would be flat once we glued it onto the beads there. So getting it lined up, now we're just putting glue on those 2 blocks and then where it needs to be on the feet so that we can glue the bunny to the pizza pan and the wood bead wreath that goes around the outside. Here are those 2 little bows that we made. So we're just gluing those, like I said, at the tops of the ears and to cover up those holes. Next, we'll glue down our pink letters that spell you. So now our bunny says, Some Bunny Loves You. And then I wanted one more thing for the face. I decided to take a small wooden heart, also from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint it with that same pink. After I add a couple little buttons to our green bows here, we're going to paint a little wood heart again with that same vintage tea rose, and then we're going to glue it to the front of our bunny to be its nose. And here's our finished project. I did add a jute twine to be able to hang this, and I just love how this came together. I love the pinks and the greens. It's so soft and pretty. If you love budget home decor DIY videos like this, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment, as that lets YouTube know people are enjoying my content, and then they will show it to more and more viewers. For DIY number 3, we're going to use some more items from Easter Crafts at Dollar Tree to create some beaded tags. So I'm using 2 of these tags with beads, some of the Easter beads, some of these wood bunnies that have the little pom-pom tail, some paint, and some Dollar Tree ribbon. So first I am cutting the pom-pom off of this kind of wood grain side. I prefer to paint on the unfinished side, so I'm going to take my pink ballet slipper chalk paint to paint one of our little bunnies on the back side here and also on the edges. My second one, I'm going to use Pool, which is a nice, pretty, light pastel blue. And we'll do, again, the back side and the edges. You can see up there on the top left, I pulled the pink and light blue beads out of one of the bags from Dollar Tree. Next, taking the tags that have the short twine and about 8 unfinished beads, we're just going to cut that off. We're going to use those unfinished beads, but we're going to use a new piece of jute twine that's a little bit longer. So once we have those beads and twine removed, again, flipping it over to the back side, I just find it's a little easier to paint. We are going to use our white chalk paint and give each of these tags one coat of white. Next, once our tags are dry, we're going to take our hot glue and glue our painted bunny onto the center of each of our tags. Then once our bunnies are glued on, we will reattach their little white pom-pom tail. Next, I am taking a long piece of a thin jute twine, doubling it over, then folding it in half again, and I'm going to push that loop through the hole of my tag and then push the other ends through it, and that's how I'm going to attach it to my tag. Then I'm going to cut the ends evenly, wrap them with a little bit of tape so that I can get the beads on there easily. And I'm just going to, on the blue bunny tag, use natural white and the blue beads. And then on the pink bunny tag, we'll use natural white and pink. Next, I'm going to make a tassel for the other end of each of my beaded garlands here. I am wrapping them around our Magnolia tassel maker 20 times, but you could wrap them around a card or something like that. So once you trim the end, after you have as many times around as you want, you're going to tie a piece of twine there to kind of mark off where the head of your tassel is. Now, I will tell you, I am going to end up changing where this is, but I'm taking now the two ends on the other side there of the beads, and I'm going to tie a knot at the top here of our tassel. Then you can see here, I decide to take this tied piece at the neck there, I guess, off, because I want to get those pieces that were tying the tassel to the strand of beads involved in, like, incorporated into the tassel. So now I'm taking a piece and I'm wrapping it about 10 times around the neck, tying that in a knot, and then these strands also will be incorporated into our tassel. So pull all those down, cut open your loops, and then once you have everything kind of laid down, trim your tassel as short as you want it. Once I have both of those made and ended, I'm taking a little bit more of this cute pastel plaid ribbon. I'm going to tie a bow at the top of our tag, and you'll see my method is to tie one knot and then I flip it around upside down. I don't know why, but when I flip it upside down, my bow ends up correct. So play around with it. Again, I'm not an expert bow maker. I just do simple bows, get the loops the size that I want, and then trim the ends. I'm also going to take this same ribbon and just tie a knot at the top of the tassel. And here's our beaded tag garlands. I think they are so cute. I love how you can take a few items from Dollar Tree and really upscale them to look like something very high end. For a complete list of all of the supplies and tools I've used in today's projects, click the down arrow next to the title of this video. That will open up the description box where you will see a list of the items used for each of today's projects. For DIY number 4, we're going to make an Easter sign using some of these bunny and egg plaques from Dollar Tree, as well as 2 of these long decor signs, some scrapbook paper, and some Dollar Tree poster sticker letters. So I'm using 3 of the bunnies and 3 of the eggs. On my 3 bunnies, I'm taking my Waverly chalk paint in the color MAIZE, and I am painting around the side edges and then a little bit up onto the front of the plaque. Then for the eggs, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm using the pink chalk paint called Ballet Slipper. Next, I'm going to take this pink scrapbook paper and laying it on the top of my egg shape. I'm just going to use my fingernails to kind of trace out where I'm going to need to cut it in order for it to fit on top of the egg. And I will do this for all 3. There, when you flip it over, you can see exactly where you need to cut to get it to fit on top. However, I knew I wasn't going to be able to trace it or cut it perfectly, which is why I have a little bit of the paint going up onto the front of the egg. I'm going to do the same thing with the bunnies, but I'm using this super cute yellow with white polka dot scrapbook paper. So once you have the paper traced and cut for all 6 pieces, we'll just put a little bit of Mod Podge onto the front of the plaque and then lay down the scrapbook paper, getting it nice and flat with as few air bubbles as possible. And then we'll let these dry completely before we do Mod Podge over the top of them after we get our letters on. So now using some of these poster sticker letters from Dollar Tree, we're going to try to get them as straight as possible to spell out Easter. So like I said, once we have the sticker letters on there, I'm going to do one more layer of Mod Podge over the entire front of each of my plaques just to make sure the paper stays down as well as the sticker letters. Next, I'm taking 2 of these long boards from Dollar Tree. I believe they're part of their new farmhouse decor. Once I removed the string hangers from both of them, I laid them side by side. I was thinking of using that happy word that I had painted, but then I decided I just wanted the bunnies and eggs. So I kind of did them kind of this way and that way and got them all lined up. The one on the left is covering the holes. And we're gluing these down, and then once I have the eggs and bunnies glued down, I am going to use wood glue to glue the 2 long boards together just to make this sign a little thicker and more sturdy. So taking some of my Tite Bond wood glue, it doesn't spread very well even with a paintbrush. It's kind of a thicker glue, but I just did the best I could, and then I'm going to lay the 2 long boards on top of each other and clamp them down until they are dry. And here's the finished sign. You could add a hanger to this if you wanted to hang it, but I feel like I will just lean it on a shelf or on a fireplace mantle. If you're on Facebook, I would love it if you would head over to my Monarch Mom DIY Facebook page. Make sure you are following it. I go live there at least 3 times a week doing different projects than what I'm showing here on YouTube. And for DIY number 5, we're going to use one of these pennant garlands from Dollar Tree, some of the wood bunny ornaments, and some ribbon, just to make a very simple garland that you could hang on a shelf or a fireplace. So I'm taking 6 of the bunnies, that's how many flags there are on the pennant garland, and I'm going to give them each a coat of white chalk paint. Then taking truffle and a small brush, I'm just going around the outside edges of the bunnies to kind of grunge them up a little bit, add a little bit more texture. Of course, this step is optional depending on your decor preferences. Once all those were dry, then I came back in with my little sander and blended that in a little bit to just make it a little less noticeable and just make each of our bunnies look a little older and worn. Next, to cover up the holes at the top of each of our bunny ornaments, I'm taking a double piece of this really thin jute twine, and I'm going to make 6 of these really tiny simple bows that we will then glue onto our bunnies to cover up that hole. Next, I'm going to cut some lengths of three or four different ribbons that we're going to add to our garland between each of the flags that will have the bunnies on them. We're going to loop them and pull them through. You'll see how we attach them in just a second. So now we're going to put a little bit of hot glue and, like I said, attach those simple little bows to the tops of our bunnies just to cover up that ornament hole. And then we'll take our hot glue and glue each of our bunnies to the burlap pennant garland. You can see for each 2, I have them facing each other, and we'll do this till we have 3 pairs. Then to finish off our garland, we'll attach these pieces of ribbon by putting the loop under the jute twine and then putting the ends through the loop to secure it to our garland. Really cute, simple, easy way to add a pop of color to this pennant garland. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll see you next time. Take care.